Chapter 20. The Great Gum Machine. Mr. Wonka led the party over to a gigantic machine that stood in the very centre of the inventing room. It was a mountain of gleaming metal that towered high above the children and their parents. Out of the very top of it there sprouted hundreds and hundreds of thin glass tubes, and the glass tubes all curled downwards and came together in a bunch and hung suspended over an enormous round tub as big as a bath. "Here we go," cried Mr. Wonka, and he pressed 3 different buttons on the side of the machine. A second later, a mighty rumbling sound came from inside it, and the whole machine began to shake most frighteningly. The steam began hissing out of it all over, and then suddenly the watchers noticed that runny stuff was pouring down the insides of all the hundreds of little glass tubes and squirting out into a great big tub below. And in every single tube, the runny stuff was of a different colour, so that all the colours of the rainbow, and many others as well, came sloshing and splashing into the tub. It was a lovely sight. And then the tub was nearly full. And when the tub was nearly full, Mr. Wonka pressed another button, and immediately the runny stuff disappeared. And a whizzing, whirring noise took its place, and then a giant whizzer started whizzing around inside the enormous tub, mixing up all the different coloured liquids like an ice cream soda. Gradually, the mixture began to froth, and it became frothier and frothier, and it turned from blue to white to green to brown to yellow, and then back to blue again. "Watch," said Mr. Wonka. Click went the machine, and the whizzer stopped whizzing, and now there came a sort of sucking noise, and very quickly all the blue frothy mixture in the huge basin was sucked back into the stomach of the machine. There was a moment of silence, and then a few queer rumblings were heard, and then silence again. Then suddenly the machine let out a monstrous mighty groan, and at the same time a tiny drawer, no bigger than the drawer in a slot machine, popped out of the side of the machine, and in the drawer there lay something so small and thin and grey that everybody thought it must be a mistake. The thing looked like a little strip of grey cardboard. The children and their parents stared at the little grey strip lying in the drawer. "You mean that's all?" said Mike TV, disgusted. "That's all," answered Mr. Wonka, gazing proudly at the result. "Don't you know what it is?" There was a pause, and then suddenly Violet Beauregard, the silly gum-chewing girl, let out a yell of excitement. "By gum, it's gum!" she shrieked, "and a stick of chewing gum! It's a stick of chewing gum!" "Right you are," cried Mr. Wonka, slapping Violet hard on the back. "It's a stick of gum. It's a stick of the most amazing and fabulous and sensational gum in the world." End of chapter 20.